Yes, now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another weekly installment of the Draco Beaks Live here on YouTube. Let's go. Week 3 in the NFL's in the books. Week 4 college football's in the books. And we're just getting started. So much other things going on. Let's go, man. Let's go. If you're watching live, hello, welcome. Appreciate you stopping by. If you're watching this as a video afterwards, thank you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. Go ahead and hit that like button if you're enjoying the weekly live streams. Kind of get some of those numbers up. I would greatly appreciate that. I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, man, not much else to kind of intro in here. So let's go ahead and get started here. So we'll go over the past week, mostly of the NFL and of college football. Kind of preview the next week, make some picks and that sort as well, obviously. But yeah, not much else to kind of intro in here, so let's just dive right in. So NFL just got done over the past week, and we'll kind of react to some of the games here. There's some doozies in here. That's for sure. We're going to start with the Thursday night game with the 49ers getting the business done at home to the Giants by a score of 30-12. And you could tell that the Giants need Saquon Barkley, man. I mean, this is just a team that, you know, they're just not good this year. 1 second. Woo! Excuse me. Anyway, mid-sentence too. Gosh. 49ers get the business done. I mean, the 49ers are just a Super Bowl contending team. They're all over the place. And the Giants just aren't. I mean, they are really just Saquon Barkley, and their defense is meh, their offense is meh without him. Like, I think, I'm trying to remember if I put them in my, if I put them in a playoff spot when I did my NFL previews before the season started. I don't remember if I had them in the playoffs or not. I think I had them out, but I didn't think that they would look this bad. I mean, dropping a 40-0 loss against the Cowboys, right? Barely beating the Cardinals, which we'll get into later, and then losing pretty badly to the 49ers here. Kind of hard to see any good things from this Giants team unless Saquon can come back and can kind of propel this team forward, because it doesn't look like Daniel Jones is going to be able to get it done all by himself. But we'll see. We're only 3 weeks in. I think I've said it before. I'll say it again. I want to try and wait till at least week 4 to make some general assumptions on teams. But, you know, we're getting closer and closer to that point. So things are starting to kind of shake out for all the teams, right? But moving on to the Sunday slate. Whole bunch of games here to go over. First off with the Browns beating the Titans 27-3. Obviously in Cleveland, so home field advantage there a little bit. Defense was awesome for the Browns, obviously only giving up a field goal. Deshaun Watson has 2 touchdowns as well. So pretty good game for the Browns here, moving to 2-1, beating a really good Bengals team. At least it looks like they're starting to find their feet after their performance Monday night. And, you know, the Titans, they're just struggling to kind of hit the ground running, I guess. They get a big win over the Chargers last week, but, you know, not a whole lot to kind of take away from this one when you only hang 3 points on a team in the same conference there. So Browns 2-1. Maybe they're a pretty good team this year. Maybe. But we'll move on here to the Lions and Falcons. Score of 20-6. Dan Campbell's got the boys biting kneecaps all over the place again with a solid win at home against the Falcons. Obviously losing a heartbreaker in overtime to Seattle last week. We were thinking the Lions, maybe they're a bit of a fraud, maybe a bit of a fake team after 1 week, but, you know, they bounce back and get a solid win against the Falcons team, who was 2-0 coming into this week. Don't think many people were thinking that was going to be a case with them being undefeated, but Falcons dropped this one in Detroit. Lions get a big win here, move to 2-1 on the season, and yeah, I think it's safe to say that at the very least the Lions are a pretty solid team. So I don't think there's any reason to worry about these guys. So they're going to be just fine. Next game here with the Packers beating the Saints at home 18-17 with the Packers scoring all 18 points in the fourth quarter to complete the comeback, beat the Saints. This is just this is almost like a, dare I say, Aaron Rodgers-esque game right here with the late game heroics, the late game comeback. Pretty good. It's safe to say it's a good coming out party for Jordan Love. Obviously, he has a passing touchdown and a running touchdown, so pretty good showing for them, I'd say. Especially going down 17-0 at halftime. Didn't look like it was going to be a breeze for the Packers. The Saints were looking like they're going to cruise to a nice win and be 3-0 in the season. Not so fast, buddy. Packers turn it around, get the big dub, and yeah, they're kind of righting the ship there. They're looking like, dare I say, the same old Packers. But there you go. Yeah, Packers with a big time win. Another team with a big time win. The Miami Dolphins hang 70 on the Broncos in Miami. 70-20 the final score. Scoregami. I don't know how many of y'all out there pay attention to that, but there's a Twitter account that every single time there's a unique final score in an NFL game, they kind of keep track of all that, and there's a graph that shows you all the scores that haven't finished final yet, so it's pretty cool to see. I'm just a bit of a nerd for stuff like that, I guess, sometimes, but yeah, man. Dolphins look like they are probably the best team in the NFL. Like, I don't think I'm exactly burning the presses with that hot take there. I don't think that's a hot take at all. The Dolphins are unreal. They just put 70 points on a team. It doesn't matter if it was the Broncos or the Bears or the Cardinals. It doesn't matter. You put 70 points on a team. That's just embarrassing. That's awesome for the Dolphins to put 70 over the Broncos like that. Tua looks like the real deal. He's looked like the real deal the last 2, maybe 3 seasons when he's healthy. Tyreek Hill, dog. Raheem Mostert, dog. Achan, I can't remember his first name, but yeah, the backup running back. Mike White, he's the backup for the Dolphins now, right? I didn't even remember that until I saw a clip of him throwing a touchdown pass in this game. So the Dolphins are just humming right now. They're on all cylinders. You can maybe argue that it's not a good idea for them to be doing so well here so early, but I can't do nothing but keep morale high, right? I mean, 10 touchdowns. Whew, crazy. And shout out to the kicker for making every single extra point too, right? So, great win for the Dolphins. They have the Bills next week. As a Bills fan, I'm a little worried about that, but we'll get into that later. But solid win for the Dolphins. Moving on to the Chargers-Vikings game, with the Vikings losing at home to the Chargers by a score of 28-24. Vikings move to 0-3. Chargers finally get a win. This is just one of those games where it's just someone had to lose almost, because Brandon Staley, I don't know what he's doing with his play calling at the end of games, and I don't see him having a job much longer, especially if they kind of keep this record of 1-2 every 3 games. But hey, they get a win, they get off the ground running. Hopefully they can turn their season around here and kind of make something out of it and go for a playoff push. Kirk Cousins, I mean, he did solid, but nothing too crazy. Justin Herbert with 3 touchdowns. Keenan Allen with a passing touchdown. Like, what? That was awesome. But, Vikings moved to 0-3. They've lost 3 games by less than 1 score when they won 11 games last season by a score less. So, I guess it's just Lady Luck finally kind of evening things out, right? But, yeah. Moving on to the New England Patriots against the New York Jets, with the Jets losing at home 15-10. The Patriots just have the Jets numbers, guys. Like, what else can you say? I mean, it's so strange to me because for me the Jets are just stacked on every single position on the field except for the quarterback. So it just doesn't compute to me that they only scored 10 points at home to a division rival who you could argue is on the decline. They pretty much have been since Tom Brady left. But it's just strange, man. I don't understand why. It's like, I think it's 15 straight wins the Patriots have over the Jets. 15 straight wins. You know how embarrassing that is? I'm glad I'm not a Jets fan, dude, because they just can't have any nice things, like, at all. And it sucks for them, man. I feel for them. But, I mean, the Patriots get a win. They finally get in the win column, so who knows what that means for them. Bills travel to Washington, D.C., and get the win 37-3 over the Commanders. Pretty dominant game all around for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they had their get-right game last week against the Raiders after their pretty disappointing loss to the Jets, but after that Monday night game, they've been firing on all cylinders, and everything's looking awesome for them. Like, they're just really good, and really, they're just humming right now. Not a whole lot to say. Everyone's staying healthy. Not much to complain. The Commanders, I mean, I don't think many people were expecting them to be one of the better teams in the NFC, but there's a lot of hype around them this year, especially because of the new ownership and all that kind of stuff. So I think regardless of this result, Commanders fans are still going to be pretty happy about the way that their team is kind of situated right now and how everything's playing out for them. So I think they're going to be just fine. Who else is going to be just fine is the Houston Texans beating the Jaguars in Jacksonville by 20, 37-17. What? Like, I know it's a divisional matchup, right? So, like, you can expect the unexpected, but you could have convinced me that the Texans would have won this game for that reason alone. But man, winning by 20, putting up 37 points. CJ Stroud looks legit, man. I mean, you know, I'm more of a proponent of doing something like the Chiefs or the Packers did with Mahomes and Jordan Love, respectively. Like, sit them if you draft a quarterback high. Sit them for at least a year or two, so they can kind of sit behind the other quarterbacks that are getting the playing time, so that they can kind of learn from them, understand the ins and outs of the day-to-day life, and then kind of pick up on this, like, certain offenses, certain formations, plays, things like that. And then that way they have that experience behind closed doors that they can then bring it onto the field to use for themselves. But CJ Stroud, man, he's just picked it up and ran with it. So the Texans, they moved to 1-2. The Jaguars are 1-2. And yeah, man, the Colts are on top of this division somehow after they get the win over the Ravens in Baltimore, 22-19, with a overtime game-winning kick by Matt Gay. Like, I didn't expect the Colts to be 2-1 either. So, like, this is a pretty interesting. We're just 3 weeks in, and there's already just so much stuff that's happening that, you know, we wouldn't have expected. But yeah, Colts get the win over the Ravens. I feel bad for Lamar Jackson and Baltimore fans. Similarly to the Jets, like, but kind of for a similar reason, but a little bit different. With the Jets, it's because Aaron Rodgers, right? One big proponent of their team. With the Ravens, it's just like everyone. Like, I saw a list both on offense and defense of how many players are injured, and it's darn near 11 on both lists. Like, you could field a whole team with how many people are on the injured list for the Ravens. Like, I don't know what's going on, because I think this has been a few years now where they've just had nothing but guys injured and injured and injured. So it stinks for them, man. Like, if everyone's healthy, the Ravens, they're a good team. So sucks for them. Hopefully they can get everything kind of figured out and clicking again. And then moving on to kind of the late slate here for the Sunday games. The Seahawks get the business done at home against the Panthers, 37-27. I believe Andy Dalton played and started this game. He had 361 yards, 2 touchdowns. Andy Dalton did pretty solid for himself. I mean, I think similar with, like I was saying about Mahomes and Jordan Love, I think Bryce Young just needs to kind of take a back seat. It's tough, right? Because Andy Dalton, I think, is a very solid, like, mid-table, maybe lower table starting quarterback compared to everyone else in the league. But I don't think he's quite that backup role either. So I think it's smart that they have Andy Dalton as the starter and then just kind of over time get more and more playing time for Bryce Young. Yes, he did start the first 2 games of the season, and they lost both games of the season, and it wasn't exactly the prettiest. So I think all around, not just him. It was, a whole team. So I think it was smart for them to kind of let him sit back. And I mean, they did okay. I think the defense let themselves down a little bit in this one, but Seahawks bounced back, and they're staking a claim to that division there, trying to push for division title. So we'll see how that goes as the season moves on. But that's that division with the Seahawks and the 49ers, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Another thing that's going to be extremely interesting to see how it plays out, moving to another game that had a lot more attention on it for a couple of different reasons. The Bears traveling to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. Chiefs absolutely destroy the Bears, the Bears losing 41-10. Chiefs were up 41-0 at one point, and they just kind of played their backups and stuff like that, and that let the Bears score 10 points there in the fourth quarter to kind of get some kind of consolation out of it. But enough of that. We all know what happened in this game. Taylor Swift was in the crowd. Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. Are they together? Are they not? Are they in love? Are they getting married? What's going on? Dude, my wife is a huge Taylor Swift fan. I had no idea how crazy Taylor Swift stands are on Twitter. Like, on Twitter especially. Like, I see things every now and then where it's like, oh, well, we don't know what exactly Travis Kelce, what time he was born specifically, but like, depending on what time, like, here's all the like astrology and all that kind of stuff, and it's just like this huge like list of stuff, crazy. And like there's someone resurfaced a video of training camp from the Chiefs, and it was a video of Travis, I think it was a full-on fight. I don't remember seeing the actual video. I think it was just a screenshot of what I saw, but some sort of altercation in training camp where Travis Kelce, I don't remember if he was swinging and like fighting and stuff, but it kind of alluded to that fact. So, and they're like, I'll be damned if this happens to Taylor, and we're gonna come after him and stuff like that. It's like, bro, you just got here. Like, let's relax a little bit, please. So we'll see how all that plays out. I know that's definitely something that a lot of people will be keeping their eyes on for sure. Another thing that everyone had their eyes on Sunday was a certain team that was going to the Super Bowl and was going to blow everyone out in between. The Dallas Cowboys losing to the Arizona Cardinals 28-16. The Arizona Cardinals have won a football game, and it was against the Dallas Cowboys. Should I say anything else? Like, look, okay, so I'm laughing, and it kind of looks like I'm a Cowboys hater. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I'm not necessarily a Cowboys hater. Just a couple of my close friends are huge Cowboys fans. So I always enjoy to play into the hype of the other side of the argument whenever the Cowboys lose and they stink and something crazy happens to them. I'm just always on them. So just seeing the Cowboys lose is a fun thing for me for that reason alone. Not much else to it, but how about them Cowboys, man? Am I right? Am I right? So we'll see what happens with Dallas going forward, but the Cardinals. I mean, I guess their defense is all right, but they put up 28 points against Trayvon Diggs. Blowing his ACL sucks. I don't care if you like the Cowboys or not. That sucks. Every time someone gets injured, that sucks. But yeah, that's no excuse for them to give up 28 points to the Arizona Cardinals. Let's move on. Sunday night, Pittsburgh Steelers, Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas, but it felt like a Steelers home game almost because there were so many Steelers fans in the crowd. Steelers get the job done. They win by a score of 23-18. And yeah, man, this is just a solid game for the Steelers. Almost like Matt Canada getting promoted to being the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach turned into a good thing. Now, getting rid of Matt Canada is probably the best thing for the Steelers and getting a better offensive mind in there because their offense hasn't been the greatest. But for this game, they got the job done. Kenny Pickett, for the first time in his career, threw 2 touchdown passes in one game. I don't understand how it took him that long to get that done, but it was enough for the Raiders to lose this game, which was so weird because when the Raiders were down to the Steelers, like they were inside the 10 and it was like 4th and 3, 4th and 4, and they kicked the field goal to go from being down 23 to 15 to being down 23 to 18. So instead of being down 8 points, they were down 5 points. So that I didn't understand because there was only like 2.5 minutes left in the game. So at that point, and they had all 3 timeouts too. So like, if it's me at that point, I'm gonna go for it on 4th down because you can still get the first down and not get in the end zone. So you still have that little bit of safety net there too. And regardless, if you don't convert on the 4th down, the Steelers get the ball back, yes, but they're inside the 10-yard line. They're inside their own 10-yard line. So you can, if the defense plays well and they get 3 stops in a row and you use your timeouts because you had the 2-minute warning as well, so you may only needed to use 2 timeouts, so then you get the ball back with 1 timeout and somewhere around like, a minute, and depending on when they would use their timeouts, it'd be like a minute and 55 seconds left to a minute and 30 seconds left maybe, but you'd have the ball probably around midfield somewhere because the punter would be backed up in the end zone. Like, that I don't understand. So that was strange. The Raiders probably did that to themselves, lost that game to themselves. But yeah. Enough about the Sunday games. We got the 2 Monday games to go over with real quick. The Eagles get a big win in Tampa Bay over the Buccaneers by a score of 25-11, which is another scoregami. So that's 2 this week. That was pretty cool. I don't think that happens that often, but yeah, man, the Eagles are... Again, I don't think that they're playing their best football just yet, but they're winning these games. And when you win games, you don't ask any questions at all. So I think the Eagles are still fine. I think they could have beat the Bucs a lot worse than what they did because I think the Eagles are that much more talented. Sure, Jalen Hurts threw 2 interceptions, but the Eagles are just humming everywhere. You got the rugby tush push, if you will. You've got, Deontay Swift, I think that's his first name. I hope that's his first name. You got A.J. Brown, you got Devontae Smith. Like, you got weapons everywhere, and the defense is solid. Only giving up 11 points to the Bucs. Like, it's a good team, so they're going to be just fine, and they move on, trying to make the record 4-0 next week. And then finally, the last Monday night game, the Bengals beat the Rams 19-16 in Cincinnati. Finally, the Bengals get a win over the Rams, who I think I had the Rams winning this game last week when I did my picks. So very strange. The Rams just didn't look like they did against the Seahawks back in week 1 when they won. So I don't know if it was the travel or just if the Rams were just awesome in week 1 or what. But Bengals get a big-time win. Joe Burrow didn't look 100% like himself. He looked like he was very much like, I'm not leaving the pocket unless it is like code red. So that was interesting to see, but I mean, he handled himself perfectly fine. So I don't think there's much cause for concern unless he kind of re-aggravates that injury. But I mean, we'll see what happens. But great night for the Bengals. They get the win and get their season off and running. So there's kind of the NFL recap for you. We'll go on to college football. It's tough for me to, go over these because there's so many games. I'm only doing the top 25 ranked teams, but because I haven't been able to watch as much sports in general, period, just because of life and stuff like that. We're slowly getting there. We're kind of ironing stuff out where I can kind of focus on this stuff a lot more, which is a total sidebar that y'all probably didn't need to know, but we'll leave that where it is for now. Stay tuned because there's a lot more videos coming soon, not just the live streams and then the re-uploaded where it's just my NFL picks for the upcoming week, which I'm going to do here soon. Don't worry. It's going to be, we're going to get some more stuff coming in. I promise you. But enough of all that. Let's recap week 4 of college football real quick. Georgia getting the dub over UAB, 49-21. of course. Michigan over Rutgers 31-7, of course. Texas over Baylor 38-6, of course. Clemson barely beaten, or Florida State barely beaten Clemson 31-24 in overtime. Florida State getting a huge win in Death Valley. They're in South Carolina. And Clemson, I think it's safe to say that their season is probably done. I mean, if they win out, they'll go 10-2, right? So, maybe they have an outside chance of making the playoffs, but I don't think that's. I think there's still going to be 4 teams that lose less than 2 games. So I think their season's pretty much done for them as far as national championship hopes. But Florida State, man, that's back-to-back weeks where they had a gutsy win. They're in crunch time. They were able to pull through. So, say what you want about Boston College last week and maybe even this Clemson game this week where, they aren't the best of teams, but they know how to get it done when it matters most. So hats off to them. USC over Arizona State 42-28. That scoreline was a little bit closer than I would have originally thought, but hey, a win's a win. Hard to argue with that. Number 6 Ohio State against number 9 Notre Dame. The biggest game of the week, probably the biggest game of the year up until the playoffs maybe. Ohio State with the last second touchdown to take the lead 17-14. This is just 2 great teams going at it. What can I say? I mean, honestly, you could probably expect this to be a playoff matchup too. I mean, Notre Dame looks legit. Ohio State looks legit. With Georgia giving up 21 points to UAB, I'm not convinced with them. I mean, Florida State, I just mentioned it, but how gutsy they are getting wins regardless of opponent. But that kind of scares me that, these that's 2 games where they probably could have won a little bit easier, but they didn't. I think Ohio State and Notre Dame have a very solid shot of getting into the playoffs here by the end of the season. So, but we'll see. There's plenty of season to go, right? Number 7, Penn State at home against number 24, Iowa. They get the job done 31-0. That offensive coordinator contract is not looking good there for Iowa, is it? But, I digress. Number 8, Washington getting the job done over California 59-32. That's a bit of a tough one, tough scoreline to read because, the Washington was up, 45-12 at halftime. So, that's just a solid win for Washington. They're going to shoot up the rankings here throughout the rest of the season if they continue to pull out wins like that. So, hats off to them, man. They look pretty solid. Oregon also looks really solid. Having Colorado come to town, and they whipped the Buffaloes 42-6. You got some jawboning from each side. That's just what you're going to expect when you have a guy like Deion Sanders come in and just create a whole bunch of noise. There's going to be chatter that follows. So Oregon proved they're the better team, and they get a solid win. Colorado sits at 3-1 now, and I don't think that they're going to be, that they're just going to go down lightly with that. They'll be back, and they'll be, compared to last year and seasons before, they're going to be way more than fine. But, one loss is one loss. I think that does hurt Colorado a lot because I think they have USC next week. We'll get into that in a second. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. 2 back-to-back tough games for Colorado. Number 11, Utah gets the job done over number 22, UCLA, 14-7. Just a good ranked-on-ranked game, I guess. So the Utes get the job done. Number 12, LSU barely squeaks by against Arkansas, 34-31. And hey, SEC game, so LSU getting the job done. And conference play, that's just a tough game. Number 13, Alabama gets the job done against number 15, Ole Miss, 24-10. Again, this is a good SEC game. A lot of people were thinking Alabama, maybe their time has come, they're finally dead. I think Coach Saban has something to say about that. Obviously getting a 14-point win here, pretty good. Number 21, Washington State over Oregon State, which is ranked 14, so upset right there. 38-35. Oregon State with a late comeback there, getting 3 touchdowns in the 4th, but it just was not enough to get it done, and they lose their first game of the season. Number 16, Oklahoma beats Cincinnati 20-6. Cincinnati's first time in the Big 12, and they understand what it's like to be in a big-time conference now. Number 17, North Carolina over Pittsburgh, 41-24. Pittsburgh's 1-3. North Carolina's 4-0 now. North Carolina, they might be a sneaky team too. We'll see. Another team that I didn't think was going to be any good this year, but that's solely because I have always thought their football team's been awful, and they only care about their basketball team. Number 18, Duke, getting the win over UConn, 41-7. Just a solid win. Another solid win, maybe even by the exact same score. Number 20, Miami, over Temple, 41-7. Excuse me. Whew. Man. Oh, one more maybe? What do I think about the Ravens takeoff? I mentioned it earlier. I'm assuming that you weren't here, but I just feel bad for the Ravens. Like they when you look at their injured list, there's just so many guys there that it just doesn't, like, it just makes me feel bad. Like, I think the Ravens, when they're totally healthy, is a great team. They could easily get that division. They could maybe even challenge for a Super Bowl. It just sucks for them, man. Like, when you have that many injuries, what can you do? Like, yes, you lose to the Colts last week. I don't think many people were expecting that. Shoot, probably most Ravens fans weren't hoping that was going to happen at all either, right? But when you have all those injuries, it's tough to, like, where do you set your expectations after everyone goes on the injured list like that? Like, do you still think, okay, well, we still have the guys, so they're going to come back, so we still want to be where we thought we should be at the beginning of the season? Or do you kind of readjust, or do you just say, screw it, everything sucks, and we just have to deal with it until everyone comes back, right? But yeah, that's my take on the Ravens. I wish that they were all healthy, because Lamar Jackson's awesome. OBJ, he brings those viewers in, baby, right? And like Zay Flowers is breaking out. J.K. Dobbins, with his injury, absolutely sucks for him, right? So we'll see what happens for him. Hopefully they can get right, though, for sure. Who do they have this week? They've got the Browns, so that's going to be a tough. Not even because it's a divisional matchup, right? It's going to be a tough game for them, because the Browns look like they might have something. So yeah, we'll see how that goes for them. But before we get into my picks for this upcoming NFL games, we'll kind of breeze through all of the ranked games here for the college football. Real quick, Friday night looks like Oregon State's hosting Utah, so number 19 Oregon State against number 10 Utah. That'll be a very, very intriguing game. Obviously, one last Pac-12 meeting for both these teams. Utah probably gets the win there, though, and move on to 5-0. Missouri, the only reason they're at the top of the list on the Saturday slate for me is because I'm from Missouri. They're my college team. Ranked 23 now, obviously, which is awesome. They get a big win over Memphis last week. They got Vanderbilt, though, so Missouri's going to win that huge. Penn State against Northwestern. Penn State wins that easily. Number 8 USC against now unranked Colorado. I think USC wins that game as well. I don't think Colorado has much of a chance in that one either, unfortunately for them. Number 22 Florida traveling to Kentucky. I think Florida wins that. Georgia traveling to Auburn. Georgia, that's probably going to be a closer game than people think. I would be wary of that one. Georgia almost lost to Mizzou last year, as a lot of people saw, on their way to another title, obviously. But I think Georgia's got one, maybe two close SEC games in them, and this might be one of them. Number 2 Michigan traveling to Nebraska. Michigan's going to dominate. Number 24 Kansas traveling to number 3 Texas. I think Texas will destroy them in their final Big 12 matchup. And yeah, that'll be an easy win for Texas and the good old Longhorns. Number 13 LSU traveling to number 20 Ole Miss. This is a tough one, man. I think LSU gets the win, though. Even though they're going to be at Ole Miss, it's obviously not a far travel for them, so I think they'll be just fine. Number 9 Oregon traveling to Stanford. Oregon will kill them. That won't even be close. Number 14 Oklahoma traveling to Iowa State. Oklahoma will kill Iowa State again. Number 11 Notre Dame traveling to number 17 Duke. I think this is where Duke finally loses a game this season. I think Notre Dame is better than the 11th best team in the country. They just, fall to that spot after losing a game. So I think Notre Dame kind of wipes them in that one. Number 21, Tennessee hosting South Carolina. Again, this might be a close one considering South Carolina only lost by 10 to Georgia. But Tennessee will probably get the win there. Yeah, I think they'll win that game just fine. Number 12, Alabama traveling to Mississippi State. But Alabama will get a solid win there. No problemo. Number 7, Washington traveling to Arizona. I think Washington wins that game quite handily as well. I think, with their dismantling of California last week, they'll be just fine against Arizona. And number 25, Fresno State playing home against Nevada. Fresno State is probably going to win that one pretty comfortably. So cool. There's your college football recap and preview. So without further ado, let's get into NFL Week 4 picks. Here we've got AFC versus NFC, and then NFC games over here. Obviously, the Monday night game is in the bottom right over here with the Seahawks and Giants. The Thursday night game is in the top right with the, let me get these right, top right, Lions and Packers. And I don't remember, and the Sunday night game is the Chiefs-Jets. Yeah, so we'll start here and then finish with the bottom two, right? So we've got the Browns traveling to, or the Browns, where did I get the Browns from? I don't know, they're way over here. We've got the Lions traveling to Green Bay to play the Packers, and I think this game's going to be a lot closer than what we might have thought it was going to be after week 1, especially with the Lions beating the Chiefs, right? So I think, honestly, obviously both these teams are going to meet a second time here in the season, but this is going to put a huge stronghold on the division, whoever wins this game, because obviously the Falcons, well, let me get my teams right, y'all. I don't know what's going on. The Vikings are 0-3. The Bears are 0-3. They stink. And yeah, the Lions and the Packers, they're both 2-1. So it's these two teams that are fighting for the division. So whoever wins this game, I think, has a huge advantage, obviously. So, and you know what? I'm going to go with the Lions, solely because they got the job done in Green Bay last year to end the season. I think they're going to get the business done again and beat the Packers in Lambeau. Moving on to Sunday morning, we've got a London game with the Falcons, the actual Falcons this time, taking on the Jaguars. This is a tough one, man, because the Jaguars basically have a second home in London, right? And the Jaguars just haven't played up to expectations yet, and the Falcons probably played above expectations. So this is going to be a great London game for everyone over there in England. I think the Jaguars get right, though. I think they get right. I don't see them having any issues with the Falcons. I think they get back on track and kind of start to turn their season around. All right, now going from left to right before the late games. Dolphins-Bills. This is going to be one of the games of the week, with the high-flying Dolphins offense and the ever-consistent Bills over the last few years. They're going to be in Buffalo. I don't think the weather's going to be that bad, though, so I don't think the Dolphins are going to be struggling with that like they have in years past, where they have so many warmer games because their home is in Miami, obviously, right? So I could totally be wrong. It might snow on Sunday up there in Buffalo. Who knows? But, God, as a Bills fan, I'm trying to find every single anything that I can kind of hold on to pick the Bills, but I can't. My heart's gotten in the way too many times so far this season, so I'm gonna go with the Dolphins to win this game. Until proven otherwise, that offense is not unstoppable. So yeah, I think the Dolphins. I think it's very close, but I think the Dolphins win this one. Ravens traveling to Cleveland to play the Browns. Obviously, like I said earlier, the live stream here, which if you're watching this as its own YouTube video, go check out my live streams that I do every single week. Leave a like and a comment on all those. I greatly appreciate it. But the Ravens, they're just so injured, man, and it sucks for them. I wish that they would be healthy and we could see everyone play for them, and we could get a more realistic feel as to how this team is. But I think because of all the injuries, I got to go with the Browns. Deshaun Watson's finally starting to look like himself again, back when he played with the Texans. So I think the Browns get this one done. Moving on to Steelers-Texans. Texans get a huge win over the Jaguars last week. Pittsburgh Steelers get a huge win over the Raiders this past week. So both teams looking to build some momentum here. I know J.J. Watt is... they're honoring him in some way. I don't remember if they're retiring his number or putting him in their Ring of Honor or what exactly. But obviously TJ's going to be there too with the Steelers. So I have a feeling TJ's going to go off. He's going to get 3 or 4 sacks probably against the Texans, just because he can, and his brother's going to be in town. So I think the Steelers win that one over the Texans. Bengals traveling to Nashville to play the Tennessee Titans. Titans losing pretty badly to the Browns last week. The Bengals getting a much-needed win over the Rams on Monday Night Football. And I think that's where the Bengals season started. I think they're going to start rolling. The Titans, they haven't really shown me anything good or bad, like super great or super poor. So I think they're just going to be a run-of-the-mill, middle-of-the-pack team, maybe even slightly below average. So I think the Bengals get it done. They've figured out what it takes for them to win a football game this season, so they're going to be fine. Raiders traveling to SoFi to play the Chargers. And both of these teams stink right now. Let's call a spade a spade. Honestly, this could be the battle of whoever loses this game, their head coach gets fired, right? Because Brandon Staley, he's been on the hot seat all year. The Raiders, Josh McDaniels, I think that's whoever the head coach of the Raiders is, with the decision to kick a field goal with less than 5 minutes to go, down 8 with 4th and something inside the red zone of the Steelers. That was just dumb. I didn't understand that at all. But I think the Chargers win. The Chargers offense is just too good. I think they're going to be all right and get the win there. Chiefs and Jets is the Sunday night game, so we'll move over here with the Rams playing the Colts in Indianapolis. And the Colts 2-1, the Rams 1-2. Colts get a huge win over the Ravens. Rams obviously losing to the Bengals here on Monday night. Man, I did not expect the Colts to be 2-1. So I think they'll fall. I think the Rams win this game. I think both teams move to 2-2 on the year, and that's how that shakes up. So, yeah, don't get me wrong. I love Gardner Minshew, and I love the swagger he brings to that team. But I think the Rams just have a little bit more to give than the Colts do. Broncos Bears. This could be the best game of the week purely because of how poor it could get, right? Obviously, with the Broncos giving up 70 points last week to the Dolphins, absolutely embarrassing. Just, burn the tape, head down on the whole plane ride home. That's just not good. Bears, need I say anything more? Everything that's happened over the last week with Justin Fields coming out and saying, that's probably the coach's fault that I'm not playing good. Obviously, there's a lot more context to that, but when it first came out, that's kind of what we were hearing, right? And then obviously the one of the coordinators resigning, having his house raided for stuff. More details to follow on that, but obviously not good. The stadium, Soldier Field, getting broken into and $100,000 worth of stuff getting stolen from them, and then getting blown out by the Chiefs in Kansas City. Yeah, losing a game like that in front of Taylor Swift and all of her Swifties, yeah, it's just not what you want. They're in Soldier Field, though. I want to pick a tie just because. But I've said I'm not going to pick any ties. So I unfortunately have to pick a winner in this one. And I think the Broncos do it. I don't think the Broncos are as bad as the Bears. I think the Broncos are going to have a fire under their butts in this one. After giving up 10 touchdowns. 10 touchdowns last week to the Dolphins. So yeah, I think the Broncos get it done. Patriots traveling to Dallas to play the Cowboys, who are coming off a crazy upset loss to the Cardinals last week. I can't believe that happened. I don't think anyone would have seen the Cardinals winning that game at all. So if the Cowboys lose that one, I have no idea what to tell you. The Patriots, they get a win over the Jets last week. They looked like they were figuring something out there, but I think the Cowboys are just going to have so much anger and so much to prove heading into this game that they're just going to absolutely steamroll through the Patriots. Moving over to the other NFC games here, we've got the Panthers hosting the Vikings. Vikings are 0-3, the Panthers are 0-3. I thought the Panthers would win this division, and I think they're going to win this game. I think Andy Dalton's going to get the start, and I think he's going to be just fine as the starter. He obviously was last week. The offense was kind of figuring something out there. And the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, he's always a very solid quarterback. But, they lose a tough one to the Chargers last week, so I just don't see the Vikings coming through with the win just yet. And the Panthers will get it done. The Commanders traveling to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. Eagles get a big win over the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. The Commanders lose pretty badly to the Bills last week. So I think this is going to be a tough game, even though they're going to be in Philly. But I think the Eagles win this game. They're just good, man. They haven't been anywhere near their best and their full potential yet, and they're winning football games, and it's not even a real discussion on whether they're going to win these games, right? So I think the Eagles will be fine. Their offense is starting to click a little bit, and they'll be all right. The Buccaneers traveling to New Orleans to play the Saints. This is a tough one because obviously the Bucs are losing to said Eagles on Sunday, and I don't even remember who the Saints played last week. But anyway, I think the Bucs win this game. I think the Buccaneers are a little bit of a better team, and yeah, I don't think the Saints will get the win there. Gosh, that's gonna annoy me now. Who did they play last? Oh, who did they play last week? Oh man, the Falcons. The Falcons played the Lions last week. No, they played the Packers. Duh. Yeah, they lost, and they lost the last second game. Yeah, the Saints. Yeah, they looked like they had the stronghold in that game, and then they lost it. Yeah, we're going with the Bucs on that one. All right, San Francisco hosting the Cardinals, coming off a mini bye, like this little sticker says. 49ers should not do what the Cowboys did last week, and they will win this game quite handily. I'm convinced of it. I don't think the Cardinals can do that twice. 49ers win that game. Moving on to the Sunday night game, we have the New York Jets playing host to the Kansas City Chiefs. And if anyone picks anyone other than the Chiefs to win this game, I would need your lottery ticket if the Jets win this game, because I don't see the Jets winning this game. Everything's so dysfunctional. Everything's out of whack for them. Their quarterback is not good. I figured he might be once he was kind of sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for a little bit. Obviously, he got thrown back into the fire a little sooner than everyone would have thought he would be. So there's that for him. But yeah, I think the Chiefs win that game just fine. And finally, the Monday night game. Only one Monday night game this week, which I am very much in favor for. I think having one Thursday night, one Sunday night, and one Monday night game is perfect. I understand having more teams play in prime times and things like that is like probably more money and stuff like that, but there's a reason why you've had these standalone games for so long. Anyway, Seahawks traveling to New York to play the Giants. Now, we don't know if Saquon's going to play or not, and that kind of is going to determine the whole game, right? Excuse me. Because as Saquon goes, the Giants go, right? They're coming off a mini bye, which when they lost to the 49ers. But there's a stat that always goes around that says that teams from the West Coast traveling to the East Coast have a much, much worse record than in comparison to like every other game that the West Coast teams play. And so that's the only reason why I am deliberating or thinking about this like at all. Because it should be the Seahawks win this game, like, easily. I mean, they got the job done against the Panthers, who aren't the greatest. I'd say the Panthers and the Giants are probably on the... Yeah, give me the Seahawks. Yeah, give me the Seahawks. It's Monday night, so they're going to have an extra day to travel and kind of get acclimatized to the time zone and the time change and all that. So, yeah, I think they'll be just fine. I don't think they need to worry about that. And the Seahawks get it done and get the win there on Monday night. So, there you go. There's our Week 4 picks for the NFL 2023 season. You can see kind of up and down the sides here. The records of the team's records based on the picks that I've made. Obviously, you can see there in the very top right, the Steelers are 4-0 somehow. I can't believe I picked the Steelers all 4 weeks. I could believe that I picked the Cowboys and the Eagles to be 4-0, but that's obviously not the case. Over here with the Panthers, saying that I think they'll be 3-1. Yeah. So there's that. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Give the video a like if you enjoyed this video. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace. Alright. If there is anyone else left in the live stream here, that was obviously for the YouTube here in a couple days when that comes out. So, we'll see what happens this Sunday, man. Exciting stuff. Exciting times. So, I'm trying to think of other stuff that's kind of going around the sports world at the moment. Obviously, last week you had some stuff with the NHL popping off, things like that. Hockey season, the preseason is just now getting started. Everything's kind of getting underway, so that's very exciting stuff. For me, obviously, you can tell, big hockey guy. Basketball's coming around. MLB playoffs is starting fairly soon. I think here, like in the next week or two, right? So that's going to be fun to watch. I don't usually watch a whole lot of baseball unless the Cardinals are kind of good, right? But I always tune in during the playoffs. I always make an effort to watch some baseball during the playoffs. So we'll see how all that goes. So, yeah, man, I'm just trying to think of some other stuff that's going on. But I don't really have anything. So I think we're just going to go ahead and call it there. We're a little short of an hour, but hey-oh, that's just how it goes sometimes, right? So thank you guys very much for watching and following along with me this week. I greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you're new around here and you want to see every single weekly live stream, any upcoming videos I'm going to be making, I teased it earlier. There's more coming, I promise. Hit the subscribe button. Share it, comment your thoughts on anything we talked about today. I'd greatly appreciate it. So until next week, guys, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Take care and peace.